Luckily, I was able to pull off another raid, and we were able to get away from the previous battle. Now, what happened was a vassal from Sparta turned up and decided to kind of get in on the action, and as a result, we were able to kind of leave without having any real worries. Anyway, we are here, we're raiding. It's been about 5 in-game days, I think, because I went back to friendly territory and I restored myself into a pretty decent place. So we are now going to be taking all of this loot and heading on over to one of the nearby towns. You can see here, this is kind of a similar situation to what we had in this area beforehand when we were kind of outnumbered in a pretty bad way. And we had 2 vassals in the nearby region. They came along, well, one of them came along and kind of scared off the patrol enough for me to get away. So that was really nice of them. And that's exactly what I mean. It seems, I don't know what it is, but it seems like the AI in Sparta particularly is quite smart. And I don't know whether that's just because it's Sparta or whether it's just, I don't know. I don't know why it would be smarter, because I would assume it is just the same sort of AI that we've seen before, but well, you never know. Anyway, we're going to continue to level up our charisma right here, and otherwise I think I should probably go for some more inventory management. We'll probably go for some archery as well, because that's what I'm potentially thinking about using, and we have a lot of cash here. So I'm going to go to the nearby town over here. I'm not going to help these guys because I think they're pretty easily going to achieve victory if the enemy does not escape. Hopefully they're not going to, and otherwise we're just going to sell these tools and furs and things like that. And we're probably going to keep any of the food that we got because, oh wow, okay, yeah, this guy does not have any money whatsoever, so we're just going to, oh yeah, they do not have any money. Okay, I'm going to have to do something about that by going to the next available town, I suppose. So yeah, I was kind of partially hoping that we might get attacked when I was raiding that village, because I kind of wanted to get some extra renown here and there, but it seems like it is a bit hard to actually get into those situations, unfortunately. It seems like this one also does not have any money, so to speak, so we are going to have to head off in another direction, unfortunately. But yeah, basically what I've done is I went back to Sparta and I went back to Tigia. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, we went back to that town and just recruited local soldiers, you know, the 20 for 2,000 thing, and that is working out pretty nicely for us so far, because those guys are going to turn into absolute beasts, and it's going to be pretty nice, especially the Spartan ones. You know, the specific units that you get from Sparta itself are going to be extremely powerful when they level up eventually. They're already pretty good, so I don't think we should have to worry too much about that. And look at this, there is a Masterwork Bow for 18,000. Oh, I really wish I had enough money for that. I do almost have enough money for a cavalry spear, which would be kind of cool. I'd kind of like to go for something like this, because I think it could be fun. Because it has swing damage piercing as well. Oh, well, this also has swing damage. But yeah, anyway, I'd like to go for this, but I might be able to. Now here's the thing. I really want to go for this, but now I'm also thinking about the Weavery and Dye Works, because we really need another Weavery and Dye Works, don't we? I mean, it is just, oh, never mind. Okay, now we have enough. Now we have enough for the Weavery and Dye Works. I'm going to go in here and speak to the Guildmaster about that. Ooh, look at that. We're getting 575 dinars per week. I'm definitely going to take that. Thank you very much. And we are now going to leave. Now, of course, I do have 4,200 still, which is a very good amount of cash. I mean, that's not too bad at all. And, well, we are still a mercenary, so we are going to be gaining a good amount of cash as we go forward as well. We don't really need to worry about money And that's the greatest thing you can have in any playthrough of Warband. Not having to worry about money at all allows you a huge amount of freedom. And that freedom is going to allow us to take risks like we did in the previous episode. That was maybe a little bit too risky, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like that. So what we're going to do this time... Oh. Well, we're apparently going to be attacking these bandits, first off. And then we are going to be doing some looting, and hopefully we will be able to get a good amount of cash from there, and then maybe, just maybe, find a town that actually has more than 500 dinars in every single place. Now, we are with allies here. Why are we with oh yeah, with allies. Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah, because we have the farmers on our side. So, yeah, that's pretty easy to understand, isn't it? Great. Okay, so yeah, basically what I've also done is I have changed our flankers. So basically we're not going to be using flankers for the moment until I get a little bit more of those unique Spartan units, because personally I feel like those guys are going to be the best that we can possibly hope for. And I really kind of don't want to take units that are going to be a bit too light, if you know what I mean. We don't really want to take light units into these situations where they could basically just die for nothing. They could just die for nothing, and that is going to be kind of pointless, isn't it? So that's the general reasoning of things. And I mean, you can see here already that the tactics that I'm using here are generally the tactics that I might be using going forward versus vassals as well, because just... What? How do we... Okay. Well, that's fine. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I'm perfectly fine with getting 48 renown for such an easy battle. I have no idea what's going on with that. Should I just take it? Wait a minute. No, you know what? I want the honor. I want the honor, and then we're going to raid them. And then we're going to raid them. I'm just going to autosave real quick and try and level up a couple of our forces before we go in. Yeah, these guys are going to take a long time to level up. Let's put these guys at the top, actually. That's going to make quite a bit of difference for how quick they are to advance in level, or at least I hope so. Alright, that's going to be pretty cool. Now, what I'm hoping on doing... I have a pretty sizable amount of space in our inventory right now, so what we could do is we could just take all this stuff, and I should really move this stuff down here as well, but it's a bit of a pain to do all the scrolling, and you can probably hear my breaking scroll wheel at the moment. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so what I'm planning on... never mind. I was kind of planning on going somewhere around here. I was hoping that Crete was a little bit closer than it actually is, because I thought to myself, oh, we'll raid a village here, and then I will go onto the ocean waves, and I will sell my loot at Crete, and that would make a much better plan than me going back to Megara and finding no money in the marketplace there. So this is going to be interesting. Let's see whether we are attacked. Yes, we are. Okay. Oh, we're attacked by Pericles himself once again. Oh, it seems like he really does not like us, does he? Yes, okay, well, obviously he doesn't like us. Okay, so there's 142 against the enemy's 290. Now, we have seen in the past that this is not something that we really need to be too bothered about. Because what we'll be able to do is, because this is indeed a village raid, and we are participating in the raid as the attacker, this is... I think I actually did mention this. I replied to a comment on a previous part, and someone was asking, how do I have such a big party size? And the answer that I gave was that renown is really important in Sparta. This is basically the... I would probably say maybe the most important stat. Not entirely sure about that. It depends what you want to do, obviously, but the point is that renown gives you so much party capacity, and with so many enemies, vassals, bandits, well, maybe not so much the bandits, but vassals do tend to have pretty large armies. And, well, in order to compete with these guys, you're going to need to do something pretty drastic. You're going to need to do a lot of work to get party capacity. And that's the thing, in Sparta you don't really need to do that much, because what I said in the comment was that basically what you can do is exactly what I'm doing here. You can kind of create a bit of a renown farming situation for yourself. So you can kind of go in to raid a village, and then, you know, you do think to yourself, oh, I might have some difficulties here, you know, because the enemy is going to come up to me with one of their strong vassals, because they do have strong vassals, and they're going to try and murder me. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. However, you got to remember that even though the enemy outnumbers you, they are using farmers. They do have farmers in their army as a result of them being the defenders in the village. We've just seen it. I literally just became the defender in this village, and I was fighting alongside those farmers and things. And that's exactly the reason why they have fallen before us so incredibly quickly and easily, because they have all, well, not all, but they have mostly farmers, and these farmers are really not going to be able to do anything in regards to your, well, slightly high tier units. And that's the point. You become a mercenary, you go to, well, I mean, it depends on which faction you're playing for, of course, but if you're playing with Sparta like I am, then you can get these guys right here from Sparta itself, from the town itself, and you can just recruit those guys, you can recruit a bunch of others, and look at this, 0 casualties, literally just because of that strategy. That's it. And then I gained 32 renown from that, and I'm going to get 29 or around that similar margin here in this one as well. So I'm gaining about 60 renown in, well, not no time at all, and that's the kind of strategy that you can use to get a lot of renown in this mod. And you're not really, I mean, okay, so there is an inherent risk with this if you don't have enough units to begin with. And that's the reason why doing this is a little bit iffy, dependent on how big the enemy's army turns out to be. So if the enemy is as they are right now and they have 300 and you have 50, it's probably going to be a bit harsh, and you might not achieve victory more than once, if any times. But you got to just keep trying in that case, because if you do have 50 and there's an enemy vassal with 100, 150, then you'll probably end up winning, you know? So it really just depends on how many units the enemy has when they do come to interrupt you, because they're probably going to come and interrupt you, let's face it. You know, they're pretty smart, these guys, so they really know where to go, what to do in terms of a crisis situation. So that's definitely something to take into account. And maybe it's given you a couple of ideas as well, because I completely stumbled across this by mistake, and it was just something that I found out completely by chance, that you can do this and get a good amount of renown for it. I think someone did mention it in the comments as well, so it's good that other people also have the same sort of thought process that I do. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. I would say that this is one of my favorite things to do, mainly because the enemy is kind of more in a defensive posture, and we don't have to feel like we are always on the defensive, and we can potentially take the offensive for once, which I think is much more fun. At least I think it's much more fun to be on the offensive end. So let's see what we can do with our forces here. Can they actually start attacking? I'd appreciate it. Yes, there we go. Nice. Okay, so what I'd like to do is try and use some more overhead attacks as well. I find the overhead to be so much more satisfying to use as well. It just feels quick, feels damaging, and you're able to do so much damage with it as well in such a short space of time. It's really fun to use. So I'm going to try and just use that to do massive amounts of damage, get good amounts of experience as well. And that's also a thing that you got to think about in these village raids, you know, slash, you know, village defenses for the enemy, of course. You're going to get a lot of experience. If you have a decent-ish weapon, and I'm not talking about a dagger here, because daggers, in my opinion, are... I'm not a big fan of the daggers, let's just say that. Or the swords, the short swords. I'm not a big fan of those because I'm just awful with them. That's basically it. You know, it's kind of the same thing with horse archers. I am not a big fan of horse archers or horse archery in general because I'm kind of bad at it. So that's kind of the reason for that. Anyway, now technically what I could do is I could run away here if I wanted to. I could just leave at any point, and if I have a good amount of pathfinding skill, which I think I do, I've got about 5 or 4, and I should be able to escape against a larger force. But why would I want to do that when we are winning so incredibly easily? And what we're going to do is I'm going to go off screen, do a couple of more rounds of this, because you've seen exactly what the process is now, and I think that the enemy is going to get a little easier as we go forward. A very classic clash of red versus blue is currently going on here. And, well, let me just tell you something. You know how I haven't had a crash in, I don't know, 5 episodes or something like that? And numerous amounts of time off-screen time as well? Well, I had a crash. I had a crash just probably about 15 minutes ago or something like that, and I had to replay all of the battles that you had so far seen in this particular village raid. And I have no idea why it happened, because I haven't changed any setting whatsoever. It must just be a random fluctuation or something along those lines. And what I've done is I've increased the render buffer size, which seemed to make a difference beforehand, and hopefully that is going to result in us having even less crashes than before. So before I had 128, and now I have... wait a minute, no, before I had 64, and now I have 128. So I've just doubled it. Hopefully that's going to reduce it completely, but we'll see. We'll see as time goes on. Alright, so there's only 26 enemies left in the enemy's forces, and this is just not even worth us really attacking them, but we kind of have to finish this up. And maybe, just maybe, we will get an opportunity to take Pericles prisoner, which I would very much like. I think that would be amazing. I think that would be really cool. So if we can make that happen, I would very much appreciate it, and we'll see if we can maybe do that. But I don't know whether I'd hold out too much hope about this, to be honest, because it's one of those things where he's just going to escape, you know? He's probably just going to escape, like, straight up. Well, it seems like these guys can only attack with thrusting attacks, which is kind of hilarious. Okay, guys, it's time to stop messing around. You need to come and help your commander, please. Thank you. I was thinking to myself, where are my guys? And then I remembered, oh yeah, they're all holding position, watching their commander die. That reminds me of a... it reminds me of like something that happened in ancient Egypt or something. I can't remember where it was actually, so don't quote me. But basically what happened was, I think it was a princess or something along those lines. She died from drowning because the servants were forbidden from touching her, even though, so they basically just had to stand there and watch her die, which was, I mean, that's just silly, isn't it? That is just very, very silly, but that's how it was, you know? That is how it was. And that's exactly what happened here with us just now, although on a much lesser scale, because it is just a game. So yeah, let's just move on. Anyway, there you go. We defeated that guy, and oh, where did Pericles go? I thought we had Pericles in the battle there. I'm pretty sure we had Pericles in the battle there, but apparently he pulled some jiggery pokery and he was able to escape. I gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed. Oh well, never mind. I suppose we can't really do much about it now. Let's level Chloe's wound treatment and first aid, because that's what she's doing. And we'll level up her archery. I have given her a bow, by the way. I don't know whether I mentioned that, but I did give her a bow and arrows, and she was able to get a kill in that battle, and as a result, level up. So that's really nice. Now, you may remember I had about 146 company size. Now I have 171, literally just because of the renown that we're gaining in these battles. It's just so incredibly good. All right, let's continue looting this village. Hopefully no one else will turn up. If they do, we might have some difficulties because I am a bit injured, but hopefully we will be okay. Yeah, I think we are. Fantastic. Very good. Okay, so there you go. We've got some fine fabric, some tools, and all kinds of other wonderful things. And we have a lot more space now, so I will be able to take even more stuff. I'm not going to take the chicken, actually, because it is going to get rotten relatively fast. We're going to take the cheese instead, and a couple of grapes. That sounds good to me. And we do have some cattle here, which technically what I could do is I could drag them along. Yeah, shall we? Oh, seems like I can just move. Oh, okay, yeah, I could just move there. Okay, so what we can do is we can drive them onward, and what we can do is basically drag them over here. And then when we get to Megara and sell, we can then slaughter them, and then we can sell the beef that we would get from them. So that is a slight increase in the amount of money that you can also make, but it is one of those things where you probably want to be a bit careful with that, because this merchant is going to lose his money in literally no time at all, as you see here. Look at that. He's lost his money. And thankfully, some of them have restored themselves just a little bit, but for the most part, their money is going to go in a flash, basically, and it's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be one of those things. Okay, so let's just sell this. I'm going to try and keep the food as much as possible, and we'll just sell everything else. Oh, there we go. It seems like I have done that for the most part. I could sell this as well, but it just doesn't seem worth it. Wow, that's actually a nice weapon. Is it? I'm not entirely sure why. Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird. Polearm / polearm. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, anyway, I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to look out for the cavalry one more likely. And yeah, so there you go. So technically what I can do now is I can recruit local soldiers some more, which might be an idea, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slaughter these guys, and we're going to take their fresh beef. This is a really, really good way of getting early money. I don't know whether you've seen this particular tactic, but this is a tactic that you can do in native to get a really, really good start if you are extremely lucky. It is very luck-based, and it's generally good to play on low campaign AI if you're going to try to do this. But basically what happens is you can go to a village or something, you can interact with some villagers nearby to kind of get negative relation with that particular faction, whoever you're attempting to raid. And I am now being attacked by bandits, which is great. And as I say, so that faction is then going to be not too happy with you, and then you can start raiding the village almost immediately upon spawning in. And basically what it does is, if you're successful, which you might very well be because you might have some points in looting skill if you know that you're going to be doing this particular strategy, and maybe that would help you to raid a little bit quicker. But anyway, if you are successful, then you are of course going to be getting a huge amount of money, a huge amount of, what shall we say, money in the form of loot from that village. And otherwise, you're going to also gain the cattle. And that's the thing. You don't... See, here's the thing. Okay. Basically, what you can do is if you don't want to take the huge risk and you don't want to get a huge amount of the loot, in other words, you don't want to loot and burn the village, you don't necessarily have to do that. What you could do instead is you could just drive cattle away from the village. So you could just steal cattle, which I believe is a little bit quicker than looting and burning the whole village. Of course, I mean, that would be the case. And also, when you have just started, looting and burning the village is going to draw the attention of the villagers, and they are going to mob you angrily. So it's probably not a good idea to go for the loot and burn straight away. Maybe wait until you have a couple of units to do that. But if you drive cattle away and then you slaughter them immediately, you'll have a whole bunch of fresh beef and stuff like that. And then you can just continue recruiting. And that's a really quick way of getting cash in native. So yeah, there you go. There's a little tidbit of information there if you didn't know about it. It's yeah, I guess it's is it quite well known? I don't know whether it's quite well known or not. I don't really mind, to be honest, because I'm I'm not a big fan of using those kinds of strategies because you never know when you're going to need to recruit units from that particular village, so to speak. So it is just if you know exactly what you're going to be doing. That's the only time that you could really use that strategy. And like, for example, if you're going to only use Nords, you know, if you're going for like a Nord only playthrough or something along those lines, then you can just, you know, raid some Saranid villages or raid some Swadian villages. I'd probably recommend raiding probably Swadian villages in the maybe along the border between the Nords and the Swadians. That's probably the best place to do that, because if you don't do it near there, then you're going to have difficulties with potential bandit problems. So the bandits, like forest bandits and things like that, they will come at you, you know. They are going to come at you pretty harshly in anywhere near to anywhere southwest of Suno is going to be forest bandit territory. And I mean, you could also do Rhodoks, I suppose, far away from the mountains, because the mountains generally will have mountain bandits, of course. And if you do it far away from the mountains, then you probably have a lesser chance of running into any bandits at all in Rhodok territory. So you could technically do that as well. But you do have to be careful about Rhodok vassals. So, yeah. So that, anyway, coming back to the whole point, stealing cattle is not particularly worth it in Sparta. As you could no doubt tell, we didn't really gain that much money at all. But in native, it's actually pretty good. You know, it's actually pretty good to do that. So yeah, there's a new strategy. If you don't know about it, then you know it's decent. If you are wanting to do a bit of a risky play right there. All right. So do I have anyone that has leveled up? Oh yes, apparently I have leveled up. Oh, very nice. Let's get some charisma and some more leadership. That is really nice for us. And that means I now have 100. Oh yeah, leadership apparently makes a difference, a huge difference in actual fact. I believe that gave me, how much did I have? 172 or 177? I'm not entirely sure, but it gave me between 15 and 20 party capacity, which means I almost have 200 units, which is fantastic and is definitely something to rival even some of the strongest Delian League vassals. I think Pericles himself might be shaking in his boots. Or sandals, in this case, perhaps. Anyway, we're going to go over to Sparta once again, see if we can get some more of those guys that we very much like. And yes, we can. Oh, very nice. Okay, that is good. And how many do I have now? 173. I'm going to lose someone, but I'm not entirely sure who. I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know who's bad. Who's the worst out of all of these? I can't actually tell. They're just all kind of similar, so it is a bit difficult to really know. I guess we'll get rid of this guy. He can just have a fun time somewhere else, and we will just go and recruit some more soldiers from here. That's the main reason why I wanted to do it, because we had 19 spaces, but we needed 20 spaces to be able to recruit from the town itself. So now we have 53 of these monsters, 52 of these guys who are going to level up into some pretty decent guys anyway, and then we have about 40 of the Megaran ones, well, combined, I suppose you could say, and we are going to attempt to just kind of level the Spartan ones into the next level as much as we can and keep those higher tier units out of battle. And that's the strategy that I'm going to go forward with, because basically what I want to try and do as a result of that is try and keep those high tier units as safe as possible, and then eventually when a majority of them, like, I don't know, 20, 25, maybe 30 of them have leveled up into those just arch monsters, the best guys that you can probably get, then they will be pushed to the front line and they will absolutely dominate everyone in sight. So that's going to be pretty fun. Otherwise, what I'm going to try and do is I will be doing a little bit off screen. I will try to assist the Spartans in maybe conquering a little bit of territory and we'll see whether we can participate in another siege. But yeah, we have 192 now, so we should be able to raise our battle size as well, which I am going to do before the next episode. Right now we're playing on 150, so by all means, let me know in the comments what kind of battle size you would like to see. I think my PC can handle about 300, but I think we might be able to go to 350, maybe 400, dependent on how good the optimization of Sparta is. And I think it's decent, but I don't know about how my PC is going to handle it, so we'll see. But anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.